A broken widow who cleaned tables in a roadside diner accepted a stranger's help, never imagining he was the CEO secretly searching for her, and her life was never the same again. Before we begin, comment which city you're watching from, and rate the story from 0 to 10 at the end. Enjoy the story. Anna wiped the last table of the night, her hands trembling from exhaustion. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and old grease, but it was the only place that kept her and her little boy afloat. Bills piled up on the counter at home. Silence filled the small apartment every night. Even now, the memory of her husband's accident clung to her like a shadow she couldn't break free from. She pushed hair behind her ear and forced a tired smile as Ethan, her 7-year-old, pretended to sword fight a ketchup bottle. He was small, sharp, curious, too grown for his age, the only reason she kept moving when everything inside her wanted to stop. That night, as she stepped outside to take the trash out, she noticed a man leaning by an old truck. Tall, quiet, his jacket too clean for someone passing through town. He lifted his head when she walked by, eyes soft but strangely familiar. "Rough shift?" he asked. She froze. She hadn't told him her name, yet when she opened her mouth to reply, he smiled gently. "Anna, right?" Her heart stuttered. She tightened her grip on the trash bag. "How do you?" He shrugged lightly, as if it wasn't a big deal. Small town. Word travels. But the way he said it, the certainty in his voice, made her chest twist. She didn't know who he was, but she knew one thing instantly: he wasn't just some traveler stopping for a meal. Inside the diner, Ethan pressed his face to the window, waving excitedly at the stranger like they'd known each other forever. And Anna felt it, the first tremor of something she couldn't name yet. Curiosity. Fear. And the strange pull of a man who shouldn't know her, but somehow did. Far away from the quiet diner where Anna scrubbed tables to survive, Daniel Hale's real world was made of marble floors, glass towers, and decisions that moved entire markets. In his corporate empire, people whispered his name with fear and respect: the youngest CEO in the region, a man who owned factories, tech labs, transport lines, and thousands of employees who never imagined their boss was living in a dusty motel outside a forgotten town. Every morning, his board asked the same question: when is Mr. Hale returning? And every morning, his assistant lied for him. Daniel wasn't ready to return. Not yet. Because behind his perfect reputation and the expensive suits he stopped wearing, there was a heartbreak that had cracked something deep inside him. A betrayal from the one person he trusted. A truth that made him walk away from everything he built. And above all, the reason he came searching for Anna. Only 3 people in the world knew the secret. Years ago, Anna's late husband had saved Daniel's life in an accident that should have killed them both. A promise was made in those final moments, a promise Daniel had carried like a vow carved into bone. Find my family. Protect them. Make sure they never suffer. But Daniel had waited too long. By the time he tracked Anna down, she was already drowning in grief, debt, and loneliness. He wanted to walk up to her door and tell her everything, but something stopped him. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe fear. Maybe the way her eyes carried a strength that humbled him. So instead of arriving in a suit with bodyguards, he arrived with an old pickup truck, grease under his nails, and a fake story about being a traveling mechanic looking for temporary work. He watched her live from a distance at first, the way she wrapped Ethan's backpack every morning with care, the way she bargained at the grocery store to stretch every dollar, the way she sat alone in the diner during her break, staring at nothing as if remembering a world that had been stolen from her. Ethan, meanwhile, noticed everything. The little boy would wave at Daniel every day, ask him strange questions, and proudly introduce him as the nice guy with the cool truck. And every time Ethan laughed, Daniel felt something thaw inside him, like a heart he thought was long dead flickered back to life. Anna still didn't trust him. She watched him with cautious eyes, trying to understand why a stranger kept showing up at the diner, offering silent help without asking anything in return. She didn't know that the man she found suspicious was the same man her husband had given his last breath to save. She didn't know the weight Daniel carried. She didn't know the promise he had come to fulfill. And Daniel didn't know he was already falling for someone he had sworn only to protect. Ethan was the first to break through Daniel's walls. One afternoon, while Anna was wiping the counters and pretending not to watch, Ethan marched up to Daniel with all the confidence of a tiny general. "You don't smile," he announced. Daniel blinked, unsure how to respond. "I do smile." "Nope," Ethan said, shaking his head dramatically. "You have the face of someone who forgot how." Before Daniel could react, Ethan grabbed his cheeks and pushed them upward. "See? Much better." Anna nearly dropped a tray from embarrassment. "Ethan, don't touch strangers like that." But Daniel only laughed, a real laugh he hadn't heard from himself in years. "It's okay. Maybe I needed that." From that moment on, Ethan treated Daniel like a project. He'd sit beside him at the diner, teaching him jokes that didn't make sense, showing him how to make shadow puppets on the wall, and telling him facts he invented on the spot. "Did you know the moon is actually a giant egg?" he whispered once, and Daniel nodded seriously just to see the boy grin. Daniel helped quietly, always from the edges. Fixing a leak in the diner's back door when no one was looking. Paying for Anna's groceries anonymously when she wasn't counting enough coins. Repairing Ethan's broken toy truck at night and leaving it at their doorstep as if it had magically healed itself. But Anna wasn't easily fooled. She'd catch him glancing at her when he thought she wasn't looking. She'd feel his presence whenever she walked home late. She couldn't decide if he was kind, or hiding something. One evening, as Daniel claimed he had business in town, Ethan innocently exposed him. "But you said yesterday you were leaving tomorrow, and the day before that you were leaving too, and last time you said..." "Ethan?" Anna whispered urgently. Daniel froze, caught in his own tangled stories. Ethan tilted his head. "Why do you lie so much?" Anna crossed her arms, studying him with sharp suspicion, and Daniel felt heat rise to his face. He opened his mouth to explain, but Ethan interrupted again. "It's okay. I lie too. Mostly when I don't want Mom to worry." The innocence in the boy's voice hit Daniel harder than any accusation. Anna's expression softened for a moment, just long enough for Daniel to feel hope flicker. And that's when he realized the truth he had been avoiding. He wasn't just protecting Anna anymore. He wasn't just fulfilling a promise. He was falling for her, deeply, dangerously, and it terrified him. Because he knew that love born from a lie could one day break everything. Days passed, and something gentle began to bloom between them, slow, careful, like a fragile flower fighting to grow in hard soil. Anna still didn't fully trust Daniel, but she no longer flinched when he approached. She let him walk her and Ethan home after late shifts. She accepted his help fixing a broken chair in her small apartment, though she insisted on standing beside him the whole time, arms crossed, pretending not to watch the way his hands moved with practiced skill. Little moments started weaving themselves into something larger. One evening, a sudden downpour trapped Anna and Ethan outside the diner. The rain came heavy and cold, soaking through their clothes. Daniel appeared out of nowhere, holding a single umbrella that barely covered all three of them. Ethan huddled between them, giggling as thunder cracked in the distance. Daniel's shoulder brushed Anna's, warm, steady, and for one brief second, she let herself lean into it. He didn't say a word. He just held the umbrella over them, letting the rain soak him instead. Another night, as Anna closed up the diner, she found a small flower, wild, imperfect, beautiful, placed gently on the counter. Ethan claimed he didn't leave it. No customers had come in. When she stepped outside, Daniel was leaning against his truck, pretending he hadn't been waiting. She held the flower up. He shrugged, trying to appear casual, but his eyes gave him away. She didn't thank him out loud, but she tucked the flower into her pocket, and he saw it. Ethan grew attached fastest. He would run to Daniel when he arrived, tugging his hand, dragging him into every silly adventure. Daniel pretended not to enjoy it, but his heart felt fuller each time the little boy laughed. For Anna, the change came slowly. She began noticing things she shouldn't, the way Daniel's gaze softened around her, the way he always kept a respectful distance, the way he listened when she spoke as if her words mattered. One night at the diner, her hands shook after a customer spoke rudely, and Daniel stepped behind her in silence, just close enough for her to feel grounded again. No touch. No words. Just presence. And somehow, that meant more than anything. But peace never lasts. One afternoon, as Anna and Daniel walked out of the grocery store with Ethan bouncing between them, a sleek black car stopped across the street. Daniel's assistant stepped out, hair perfect, suit crisp, eyes tense with urgency. "Sir," she said too loudly, too formally, "you need to return to the city. The board expects your decision by morning." Anna froze. "Sir?" Daniel's face drained of color. "Not now," he whispered sharply, eyes darting to Anna. The assistant followed his gaze, realized her mistake, and tried to recover. "I mean, your order is ready, sir. From the repair shop." Anna stared at Daniel, suspicion twisting into something sharper. "You said you didn't know anyone here," she said quietly. Daniel swallowed. "Anna, let's talk." But she stepped back. Ethan looked between them, confused. Daniel forced a smile, desperate to keep the moment from collapsing. "It's nothing. Just a misunderstanding." But Anna wasn't convinced. She didn't say another word. She simply took Ethan's hand and walked away. Daniel watched them go with a sinking heart, knowing he had just crossed the thin line between trust and doubt. Anna tried to convince herself she was overthinking, but the feeling wouldn't leave her chest. For days, she watched Daniel more carefully, his pauses, his half-truths, the way he changed the subject whenever she asked about his past. Something didn't fit. Something was wrong. And the more she tried to ignore it, the heavier it pressed. The truth arrived on a quiet Thursday morning when she opened the diner and found an old newspaper someone had left on the counter. She almost tossed it aside, until she saw a familiar face printed under bold corporate headlines. Daniel Hale, CEO of Hale Industries. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the paper closer. It was him. Clean-shaven. Expensive suit. Standing beside a gleaming skyscraper. Nothing like the humble man with grease under his nails and an old truck that sputtered in the cold. Her heart pounded in her ears. This couldn't be real. She flipped to the next page, scanning the article with shaking eyes. Missing for months. Rumors of a scandal. Board under pressure. Sightings unconfirmed. Her pulse raced faster. He wasn't some wandering mechanic. He wasn't passing through town. He had lied about everything. The bell above the diner door jingled softly, and Anna looked up just as Daniel walked in, carrying Ethan's forgotten lunchbox, smiling like nothing was wrong. "Anna, I think Ethan left Thai." He froze the moment he saw the newspaper in her hands. The color drained from his face. Anna set the paper down slowly, every movement trembling. "Who are you?" she whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. "Anna, I can explain." "Explain?" Her voice cracked. "You said you were a traveler. You said you had no ties here. You told Ethan stories about fixing cars and sleeping in that truck. I never meant to lie to you. You didn't mean to." She stepped back, eyes burning with disbelief and betrayal. "Daniel, you knew my name before I even said it. You showed up out of nowhere. You kept watching us, helping us, following us." Her voice shook. "Why were you searching for me?" Daniel reached out instinctively, but she jerked away from his touch. "Anna, please, just give me a chance to. Was anything real?" The question escaped as a whisper, fragile and breaking. "Our talks? Our moments? The way you looked at Ethan? At me?" Daniel's eyes softened with pain. "Everything was real. I swear." Before he could finish, Ethan rushed in from outside, beaming. "Mom. Ben, Daniel, brought my lunchbox. He's the best." "Ethan," Anna said sharply, her voice trembling. "Come here." Ethan looked between them, sensing the storm instantly. "Why are you crying? Did something happen?" Anna wiped her face quickly. "We need to go home." "But now." Daniel crouched to Ethan's level, desperate. "Ethan, buddy, I didn't lie because I wanted to hurt you. Ethan's little hands balled into fists. You said you were our friend. I am, Daniel whispered. You lied, Ethan said softly, tears filling his eyes. But I still don't think you're a bad person. Ethan, Anna said again, firmer this time. Ethan backed away, torn and confused. Anna took his hand, opened the door, and walked out without looking back. Daniel followed 2 steps, stopping when Anna turned with a look that cut straight through him. Don't, she whispered. Just, don't. The door closed between them with a soft click that felt like a final blow. Daniel stood alone in the empty diner, staring at the abandoned newspaper and the unmistakable truth written across Anna's face. She wasn't just heartbroken. She felt betrayed. And the sight of her walking away with Ethan beside her was the moment Daniel realized he hadn't just broken her trust. He had broken the very thing he'd come to protect. Daniel didn't go home that night. He sat in his truck outside the diner until the sun started to rise, replaying every moment with Anna and Ethan. Every smile. Every laugh. Every second he'd felt alive again. Now all he felt was the weight of the truth he'd carried too long, a truth he should have shared the night he met her. But fear had kept him silent. Fear of losing the first real connection he'd felt in years. Fear that she'd see him the way everyone else did, a man with money, not a man with a heart. The next morning, he finally gathered the courage to go to Anna's apartment. He knocked, gently at first, then with urgency. Sophie opened the door. But not Anna. Anna stayed inside, her back turned to him, arms wrapped tightly around herself, as if holding her own heart together. Anna, he said softly. Please, just listen. She didn't move, but she didn't tell him to leave, either. Daniel took a breath that felt like it shredded him inside. The man you think I am, the man in the newspaper, that part is true. But the lies you think I told? Those weren't because I wanted to deceive you. They were because I didn't know how to approach you without ruining everything. Anna finally turned, tears dried on her cheeks, eyes hollow from crying. Why were you searching for me, Daniel? Why me? Out of thousands of people in your city, why me? He swallowed hard, the truth heavy, painful, almost too emotional to speak. Because your husband saved my life. Anna's breath caught. Daniel stepped forward slowly. There was an accident. Years ago. I should have died. A truck came out of nowhere. I was trapped. And your husband, he pulled me out before the car exploded. Anna covered her mouth with shaking fingers. He was already injured, Daniel continued, voice breaking. He didn't make it. And with the last bit of strength he had, he told me one thing. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Find my family. Take care of them. Make sure they never suffer. Anna collapsed onto the couch, overwhelmed, sobbing into her hands. Ethan ran to her, wrapping his small arms around her side. Daniel stayed where he was, afraid to come closer. I searched for you for months, he whispered. But when I finally found you, you were working yourself to the edge of breaking. You were grieving. You were tired. And I didn't know how to step into your life as a billionaire with guards and lawyers. He looked away, ashamed. I wanted you to meet me, not my wealth. Not my world. Me. Anna looked up, tears streaming. So you pretended to be someone else? I pretended to be someone simpler, he said. Someone who wouldn't scare you. Someone who could help without making you feel small. Someone who could keep that promise without hurting you more. Ethan wiped his eyes. Mom, he didn't lie to be bad. Anna broke again, her voice barely a whisper. But you let us trust you. You let my son trust you. Daniel's voice cracked. I know. And it's my greatest regret. Silence filled the room except for Anna's quiet sobs. Daniel swallowed hard. I'll leave if you want me to. But before I go, I need you to know something. He looked directly at her, with a sincerity that shook her. I came into your life because of a promise. But I stayed because I fell in love with you. Anna's tears spilled harder. And with Ethan, he added, voice trembling. That boy taught me how to live again. I'm not here to save you, Anna. I'm here because you saved me. Anna shook her head, overwhelmed. I need time. I don't know what to feel. I don't know what's real anymore. I understand, Daniel whispered. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small flash drive. This is for you. I recorded something last night. Everything, the full truth. No edits. No hiding. Watch it when you're ready. He placed it gently on the table, stepped back, and nodded at Ethan. Then he walked out, closing the door softly behind him. Inside the apartment, Anna held the tiny flash drive like it was a piece of his heart he had left in her hands. And Ethan leaned his head on her shoulder and whispered, Mom, he loves us. Even if he messed up. Anna broke down again, because the truth was, she knew. She knew. And that made it hurt even more. Anna waited until the house was silent, until Ethan had fallen asleep beside her after crying himself tired. Only then did she reach for the flash drive. Her hands trembled as she plugged it into the laptop. The screen lit up, and there he was, Daniel, sitting in his dim motel room, eyes red, hair messy, looking nothing like the powerful CEO from the newspaper. He took a shaky breath. Anna. I don't know how to speak without ruining everything. But I want you to know the truth, the whole truth. His voice cracked. The day your husband pulled me from that car, I was a different man. Arrogant. Selfish. Empty. And when he gave his life to save mine, something broke in me. Something changed. Anna pressed a hand to her mouth as the video continued. I spent years trying to repay a debt that can never be repaid. When I finally found you, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Or so exhausted. Or so alone. He looked down, ashamed. I didn't tell you who I was because I didn't want to enter your life like a storm. I wanted to protect you without frightening you. I wanted to help without making you feel like charity. He wiped his eyes. But somewhere in the middle of that promise, I fell in love with you. With the way you keep going even when you're breaking. With the way you look at Ethan as if he's your whole world. With the kindness you don't even know you have. I didn't expect it. I didn't want it at first. But it happened. Anna felt tears spill down her cheeks. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Daniel whispered. I just want you to know, loving you was real. Every moment was real. And if walking away is what keeps your heart safe, then I'll do it. I'll disappear again. Just say the word. The video ended. Anna sat in the dark, tears falling silently. She wiped her face, took a long, trembling breath, and whispered to herself, he didn't want to own my life. He just wanted to be part of it. The next morning, with swollen eyes and a storm of emotions she finally understood, she took Ethan's hand and walked out of the apartment. They found Daniel by the old truck, stuffing bags into the back, preparing to leave town. Anna's voice cracked. You're running away again. Daniel turned, startled, pain and hope clashing in his eyes. Not running. Just giving you space. Anna stepped closer. I watched the video. He swallowed hard. And? She didn't answer with words. Instead, she closed the distance between them and placed her trembling hand over his. You should have trusted me, she whispered. You should have told me sooner. I know, Daniel breathed. And I'm sorry. Anna looked into his eyes, really looked, and for the first time, she didn't see the lies. She saw the man behind them. I'm still hurt, she admitted. But I also know you weren't pretending. Not with Ethan. Not with me. So if we're going to try again, her voice softened. It has to be honest. Every part of it. Daniel's breath shook. Anna. I swear. No more lies. Ever. Ethan suddenly squeezed between them, throwing his arms around both. Does this mean we're a family now? He asked with hopeful innocence.